new for you this morning. One person is dead after a crash involving a semi-truck. It happened just after 8 last night when Albuquerque police say a van traveling south on 98th Street on the west side jumped the median and crashed into a semi over I-40. The driver of the van died. Police say it looks like speed was a factor. Well, the New Mexico Department of Health is testing a child now for enterovirus D68, not even a day after it said there were no reported cases in the state. This is the respiratory virus that's been spreading all across the country, particularly the Midwest. The state says a hospital in Albuquerque, not saying which one though, is sending specimens to a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention lab in Atlanta. If these tests come back positive, this will be the very first reported case of EVD68 in New Mexico. The virus is a lot like the common cold, but patients, particularly kids, can get a rash or have difficulty breathing. Kids with asthma are especially vulnerable. We'll keep you updated. Well, Albuquerque's police department and CYFD are now changing how they work together on child abuse cases. The Child Abuse Prevention Task Force was formed after little 9-year-old Amari Varela died at the end of last year. We told you how the task force recommended some big changes, including adding APD care officers. These care officers will have specialized training to recognize signs of abuse. Also, officers can now call CYFD and get access to its database to find out if parents have been investigated for abuse before.
The officers know what that historical data is that CYFD has in our records upon arriving on scene, and that's based on the numbers that we've seen. That is being utilized and is proving to be very effective.
Also, APD's Crimes Against Children unit has just moved back into the same building as CYFD, so they can work closely with investigators there. Well, Albuquerque Mayor R.J. Berry and Police Chief Gordon Eden are telling us more about their recent trip to learn from Las Vegas's police department in Nevada. The federal government never investigated the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department as it is doing with APD, but did ask for advice after a string of controversial shootings of unarmed men. Albuquerque leaders met with police and community members there to talk about how Las Vegas police changed the culture in their department.
The police department there talked about, when they talked about culture, they talked about the culture of wanting to serve their community, and in many times being very quick about doing what they're getting there fast and taking action quickly. And they talked a lot about de-escalation.
Mayor Berry says he and Chief Eden are hoping to implement some of what they learned, but he says they'll have to wait until the city and the Department of Justice have reached a court-enforceable agreement. With all the controversy surrounding the culture and use of force at Albuquerque's police department, the police chief, Gordon Eden, has constantly defended his officers. But all of that changed when he talked with the national media. Here's News 13's Matt Grubbs to explain.
Refreshingly honest, coming to grips, a shift in tone. That praise for Gordon Eden comes after the chief told the national newspaper USA Today that not everyone wearing a badge at APD deserves that honor. Quote, "I believe there are people on the force who shouldn't be on the force," Eden told the paper in an article titled, "Before Ferguson, There Was Albuquerque." The chief worried that Albuquerque, quote, may be stuck with the bad officers, in part because of what he called, quote, a systemic failure in our ability to track employee misconduct. ACLU Executive Director Peter Simonson, who's been with the chief on his recent trip to learn about reform efforts in Las Vegas, is encouraged.
The chief is actually acknowledging that fact because it suggests that he is owning some of what the DOJ has tried to make clear.
Simonson said getting the city to buy into the Department of Justice findings of deep problems at APD is vital to real change in Albuquerque.
We've lived through 3 cycles of police violence in our community over 40 years where we have seen these rises in officer-involved shootings. Finally, we have a federal agency that has taken notice and has intervened formally, and we can't waste this opportunity.
Chief Eden's comments reflect a different view than the one he had when he took the job in February.
Do you think that APD is a troubled department?
Not at all. Not at all.
City Council President Ken Sanchez said of Eden, quote, "I'm glad that he's finally now looking at it that way." Republican City Councilor Dan Lewis called the statements, quote, "the kind of leadership we need from our top cop," and in his opinion, Eden's job depends on it. But with compliments rolling in, Chief Eden wouldn't talk about the article tonight. Mayor Berry's office didn't answer when we asked whether he agreed with the chief. And the city's only statement, coordinated between APD and the mayor's office, blunted the chief's remarks in the paper. Every large police department, Eden said, had people on the force who shouldn't be wearing a badge. The implication? That maybe APD's problems aren't so different. In Albuquerque, Matt Grubbs, KRQE News 13.
Chief Eden also says APD may be stuck with some of the bad officers because the union will not let him retroactively punish them. Republican Councilor Dan Lewis says even if Eden does not have the will to clean up the department, he should be gone. And that if bad cops want to sue because they get fired, well, so be it. All right, 5:37 now. Nearly 3,000 flags are in place this morning at the Vista Verde Memorial Park in Rio Rancho to honor the people who died here on 9/11. The Random Acts of Kindness group, the Children's Cancer Fund of New Mexico, and Daniel's Family Funeral Services are making the memorial possible. They've done it for quite some time. In addition to the thousands of flags, the victims' names are written on white peace dove flags.
I believe there's going to be several thousand, in addition to the 343 public service officers who lost their lives bravely. This is also all the other members of the public who also perished that day.
This is the 5th year the flags have been placed at the memorial in Rio Rancho. Volunteers set them up last Friday, and they are set to stay there through today. Well, on this 13th anniversary of those 9/11 attacks, the Albuquerque Fire Department is remembering the firefighters and others who died in the World Trade Center attacks, and here's how they are doing it. Once again this year, Duke City firefighters will have their annual stair climb. This is video from last year. You're encouraged to go ahead and join them and help the Red Cross at the same time. It's a 55-story climb. It'll take place in the stairwells of the City County building down at Civic Plaza. The climb starts precisely at 8:46 this morning, the moment the first plane hit the North Tower. That would be New York time. It costs $20. The money goes to the Red Cross of New Mexico for a great cause. You can find out more about this, and you still have time to sign up and join them. You can go to krqe.com, click on links for more.